357 homeless people have died in the last 5 years in Dublin. That's the equivalent loss of life of a transatlantic flight falling from the sky. It's a catastrophe, and it's happening silently and invisibly every other day on the streets that we live in. There were 47 deaths across homeless services in Dublin in 2018, 49 in 2019, 76 in 2020, and last year, incredibly, 115 people died in homeless services in 2021. So far this year, 70 people are recorded to have lost their lives in the Dublin homeless services. And it does not bear thinking about. But those figures are set to increase due to the fact that the weather is going to get colder and more severe over the next number of months. Now, these figures were released to Aontú by the Dublin City Council under the Freedom of Information Act. But if we were to submit the same question to any other local authority in Ireland right now, we will be met with stony silence, because no other local authority actually records the number of people who die in homelessness around the country. And that's an incredible thing, Taoiseach, that the vast majority of local authorities are not even recording this. It's an absolute scandal. And if we're not even measuring this incredible situation, how are we going to get to a situation where we're finding solutions to it? Now, I've been raising this issue of homeless deaths for the last number of years, and different ministers for housing have tried to explain it away, some saying that these deaths are just part of the natural attrition that happens, others saying, and I quote, that these are the results of car accidents, etc. But the truth be told, and Taoiseach know this, that homelessness is a direct cause of death. People who are homeless for longer than 18 months are 8 times more likely to die than a person who is homeless for less than 6 months. So right now, on the streets of our capital city, people are dying directly as a result of homelessness. Now, in response to me raising this before, the Minister for Housing did commission Dr Austin O'Carroll, a North Inner City GP, to research the causes of these deaths and propose solutions. And I welcome the fact that that actually happened. But there's little evidence, if you look at the figures, Taoiseach, that we're getting to grips with this crisis. Indeed, the government are missing all their own housing targets. The Dublin Housing Delivery Group submitted a report to the Minister for Housing recently, and they've indicated that there's evidence of slowdown in terms of social housing projects, and that work has actually ceased on some sites. So this government is a record-breaking government for all the wrong reasons. There are record numbers of people accessing emergency accommodation. There are record numbers of children accessing emergency accommodation. House prices are at record levels. Rents are at record levels. And last year we had a record for the number of people who died in homelessness in our capital city. All of these indicators are going the wrong way under Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Green government. Taoiseach, will your government, first of all, commit here today to record the number of deaths that are happening with homeless people around every county in the country? And will you detail the progress so far in the implementation of the recommendations made in the report of the mortality in single homeless population 2020? I'm surprised at you, Taoiseach, in relation to this, because these figures are very stark, they're very real, and there are direct correlations between being homeless and losing your life. So equivocating or fudging at this stage in 2022, after years of this, is simply not good enough, Taoiseach. It is, fudging this 15 years ago, 10 years ago, you might have had an excuse in relation to that. But equivocating on these figures and the direct correlation and the cause and effect that is happening on the streets of Dublin is wrong at this stage. And if we're at that stage as a government, well, that's going to be a problem in terms of actually urgently pushing resources into place to fix this situation, surely. Dr O'Carroll, who was commissioned by the Minister here, said directly that the length of time that a person is homeless directly leads to the chances of mortality. And we know that the number of people dying correlates exactly with the number of people who are homeless. And the truth of this is that people don't have access to primary care, they don't have access to mental health services, they don't have access to dual diagnosis services, and of course they're living under the exposure of the weather and in terms of the violence in the streets, etc., and alcoholism. All of these are the contributing factors to these deaths. But what's not contributing to solving them is any real government effort or urgency. And I'd ask you, what are those actions that you're taking to make sure that this problem is solved and lives are saved?